Hello there. Well, I've got some spare time, and I've got this video from like about 2 or 3 weeks ago that I never posted. Well, hopefully I never posted it. I don't think I did. It sort of looks familiar, but no, I don't think I posted this one. This is a downtown match from about 2 weeks ago, I think. And yeah, it's typical downtown match. It's a slugfest, and we end up almost losing it a couple of times, but pulled it out in the end. We've got Fun Times and Inceptos on the other team, which is a challenge. And yeah, it's an interesting match, I think. And I have some spare time because I'm actually not having to work overtime tomorrow, which is pretty amazing. Oh, I'm going to lose this bender right off the bat. You see this scorpion back here has cleverly positioned himself. That's Fun Times in that scorpion. He's cleverly positioned himself to take out the bender that he knows is coming around that corner. Okay, well, that's something I know enough to look out for, but I don't really have a good counter for it because I always want to get in the bender and I always want to go straight to the center. There's really nothing else for me to do. Not on this one. Okay. Yeah, there we go. And that's pretty much the first one.
Tank node.
I'm gonna have to download more ebooks. I've sort of run out. Well, I've got some more Heinlein books, but you know, I've read most of these Heinlein books, and I need to find some books that I haven't read already. Well, not enough audiobooks out there, I think. I got a copy of The Martian, which is an Andy Weir novel. It's a novelty. That's a fairly recent science fiction book. But and I like that. I like these kind of books because you know they're sort of like updated versions of the classics that I read as a kid. Except that actually this one, you know, it's the Andy Weir one works. It reads more like I don't know. I guess I could say it's more prosaic. You know, it's more grounded it's more grounded in reality and reads more like a thriller of some kind than actual science fiction. You know, and it kind of fails to engage me at that level because you know the reason I read science fiction is mainly because you know it sort of triggers your imagination. Whereas something like this, you know, well, you know, he's a NASA employee basically. And I'm not really, and you know, as much as I appreciate what NASA does, and as much as I cheer for them when they're doing it and stuff, I don't really see what NASA is doing as being really, as being really productive in terms of doing actual space exploration. You know, I mean, they're basically doing what they're doing. Kind of as a national prestige exercise, but there's nothing practical in it. You know, you can see the moonshot and you can be proud of it. And if they did a Mars shot, that would be a really great thing. But you could never say that any of this was actually leading up to any kind of real exploration or colonization or conquest in quotes of space. You know, it's not happening. You know. They're going up there. They're planting a flag. They're coming home. They're going to spend They're going to spend $100 billion, and that's it. That's all. That's the end of it. You know, they haven't really done anything. As much as I love to see it, and as much benefit as there is out of the technology that they work out to do these things, they're not accomplishing anything really. Even there's lots of people, even in NASA themselves, that will tell you, well, you know, we actually get a lot more done with the unmanned missions than we do with the manned missions, and it's true. It's all completely true. You know? I would never oppose the manned missions just because they're so great, but you know, it's to be realistic. They don't really accomplish anything. And this book that's kind of based on it's kind of based solidly on that kind of a scenario. You know, it fails to engage me a little bit because of that. But it's a good book. It's a good book. The only other criticism I'd make of it is that the guy uses far too much internet geek speech, is what I call it. You know, these turns of speech that you see come up in internet postings all over the internet constantly. I really hope that by the time we do a Mars shot, that people won't be talking like that anymore. You know, but this is something writers always do. You know, they speak in the vernacular, even though they're talking about some guy who's living 50 or 100 years in the future. You know? The old classic writers did that, except that they would occasionally they throw in some kind of weird made up slang word, you know, just to let you know you're in the future now. You know? But basically, you know, they'd all speak the vernacular. He's doing the same thing. Aside from that, it's a really good book. You know, you can tell that when people write books like this, they must put a hell of a lot of research into them. You know, because you sure as hell wouldn't come up with any of this off the top of your head. This guy definitely knows it. This guy definitely came up with a lot of stuff to put in this book.
Defend the center node.
And of course, you know, he does a lot of the classic Hollywood style suspense business, where, you know, things just get worse and worse to the point where you know everything is doomed, and then he pulls the solution out of his hat at the last minute. Hollywood does this all the time. You know? It was nice the first few hundred times. I kind of get tired of it after a while, but I still enjoy it. You know, it's a nice way to do things. And I can see why they'd want to make a movie out of it. It's going to be the big Ridley Scott movie next November, I think. That's why I read this thing, is because Ridley Scott is going to make a movie out of this silly thing. And I'm pretty sure it's a movie that Ridley Scott can do well without fucking it up, like he fucked up Prometheus. It could possibly be a really great movie for Ridley Scott. That would be a good thing. I'd love to see it. I'm sure it probably will be a pretty good movie. Oh well. Unless he does what Hollywood always does with decent books, which is screw them up completely. But I don't think so. I think he'll be alright. I mean, I don't see how he can. I don't know how you can screw up a movie. It's kind of another thing it reminds me of is the old '60s movie Marooned, which is still a pretty good movie. If you ever get a chance, if you ever go watch Marooned. That's a good movie. It's basically the same kind of movie. It's not quite as upbeat. I mean, this guy is really upbeat. I mean, he's it's also been compared, I think, to what's that movie with the guy who's stuck on the island? Yeah, it's been compared to that too. So. It's a fun book. But I'm hoping I need to get out here and find some more audiobooks. Hopefully more recent science fiction books that are maybe a little more out there. You know, like some of the Hugo Award-winning type of things. I need to go search around and find some more things like that, because I do like stuff like that. Either that or an audiobook version of E for Effort by that Sherrod guy from back in the 40s. That was an awesome mini novel. Never found an audiobook of that. Never found an audiobook of a lot of these books that I used to have. You got to get somebody with a decent voice to read them. You know, it's not easy to do. You got to sit down and talk for like 10 hours at a stretch. You know, that's not easy to do. It'll fucking kill your throat, I tell you what. I mean, I can barely get through these 15-minute videos, man. I mean, my neck gets tired. You know? I mean, playing this video game for 20 minutes is pretty strenuous, but just talking for that amount of time is murder. Man. I have a hard time. Okay, where are we at with this? We're about halfway through this, and we control most of the map. Who's that there? That's Kronos. Kronos is one of the reasons we're running this. He's stationed with this paladin back here. This is the kind of thing you want to do with these big vehicles, is using this point defenses. Cover the node, and then the people on foot in the small vehicles go forward and try to take the next node. I was trying to give that orb runner a lift to the next node, but that usually doesn't work out too well. Meanwhile, while our orb is on the ground, red tries to come in with their orb.
Attack the enemy.
This is the kind of thing the team's trying to do, you know, is they keep an eye on where the other orb is, where the other where the other forces are, relationship to the last node. You know, you take your orb forward to try to take the next node, and if that fails and your orb is on the ground, they're, you know, hopefully for them, they're going to take their orb in and try to take your node with it, because they know your orb can't stop them. That's the hope. You're limited a little bit by your ability to communicate. You know, communication is the weak link in this game. It's not something that's insuperable. You know? I mean, it's not something you couldn't do anything about. I mean, if this game were organized, if you had all these people wearing headphones and microphones, you know, and a real chain of command and all this other great shit that people are never gonna do. You know? Yeah, I mean, these games could be organized out the butt. You know, you can get to the point where, yeah, I thought for sure you could get to the point where it was like some kind of a football game. Seriously, you could, but you know, there's no point. You know, nobody's ever going to do that. It's ridiculous. I don't understand that about these video games. I mean, they do. I think they have as much spectacle to them as any football game I ever saw. I mean, I think football is boring as hell. A lot of these video games, well, some of these video games do get to that point. You know, the really popular ones, like I think Dota 2 is like that, or it was for a while. At least I don't know if it still is. But, I guess it's just because they're so transient. You know, I mean, there's a new video game out every 6 weeks, and they're all completely different. You know, and whereas with football, you know, football is exactly the same as it was 20 years ago, and you don't have to study the rules to understand a football game. You know, you can, if you've seen a football game in 1957, you can watch one today and immediately get into it because you know what's going on. You know, if you like football.
Grab your orb.
Oh well. Whereas, you know, these different video games, you know, you have to play them for, well, depending on how quick you are on the pickup, you get to play them for hours or days or weeks or months or years before you understand what's going on with them. I know we get people that come onto this game from once in a while that, you know, that are the new players. They come on here and they obviously don't have the slightest idea what's going on. And if they stick at it, for a week or two or a month or a year, sometimes they figure it out. And if you're really lucky, then they get into it and hang around for a while. But that's the hard thing about it, is that so often they don't. You know. Now this is pretty desperate right here. Managed to get one or two people down, but there's just no way in hell I'm gonna stay alive long. I'm nearly got it, but I believe the shield was still up there, so didn't quite get it. It's a little hard to appreciate, you know, really, when you've been playing this for a while, because this all becomes instinct. You know, you don't even have to think about what you're doing out here. You know what's going on. I mean, you're keeping an eye on that mini map. You know whatever you can see this. You know the significance of everything's going on, and it's not complicated. You know, it's really simple actually. So it's a little hard to remember that these people that just jump on you straight out of Steam or wherever it is you're coming from. No, they don't know what's going on. I mean, you can see they don't know what's going on just from watching them, what they're doing. You know, they'll grab the orb and wander around in a random direction, or take the orb to the enemy prime or some crazy stuff like this. You know, it's obvious they have no clue what they're doing. You mean they all do this too? You know, it's not some kind of fluke. And it's hard to appreciate, but that is what's going on. You know, it's even though it doesn't matter that the game is simple, none of that matters, because, you know, it's all unfamiliar territory. You know, if you're confronted suddenly with this situation that you're thrust into and expect to deal with, even though it is simple, it doesn't matter that it's simple, because you've never seen it before. You've never understand it. You know, and if they're quick on the uptake, they pick up on it in due time, and if you're lucky, they get into it. But, yeah, that's probably enough to explain. It's tragic, that's all I can
Grab
say.
your orb.
Anyway, the world is
Attack the enemy.
you know, the world has an embarrassment of riches where pointless entertainment comes. Where pointless entertainment is concerned, you know, I mean, if it is, oh, I think that mana wants to give me a tow. I'm thinking I'll let him. He's nuts. I don't know where the enemy prime is. I don't know where the enemy orb is. And there's all kinds of, there's that was the Septos.
Grab the
Doing a
sheep
fancy
charge.
jump up in the air with a rocket salvo. And they get this, then they get the center node with it. There's that tank. I'm gonna immediately get out and start healing him. That's Krillin in that tank.
5 minutes remaining.
And he gets way too aggressive with that tank. I mean, he's gonna lose that tank, and he's gonna lose that tank, and Red's gonna get a tank because they got the tank node. Well, he's in the right place with it right now for sure. But yeah, the thing with these big vehicles is, like I said, they should be used for point defense, and they're not they're far from invulnerable too. You know, just because you're in this big heavy tank, it doesn't mean you don't have to take cover. You definitely need to take cover, especially when you've got the tank and the other team has the tank though. That's when you really don't want to lose that thing. And I really ought to stay back there and keep healing them. But I'm feeling a need to go on the attack, which is probably going to screw us up here because, well, maybe I will manage to shoot this down. We're getting down to about 4 minutes. Yeah, I might actually manage to shoot it down.
Attack the tank node.
I'm pretty sure that tank is going to die while I'm out here. Yeah, I just gave up on that vehicle. Nope. Gave it up on it too quick. Yeah. There's another Manta. I'm getting heals, but what I need is an assist up the steps. Ah, we got that. Okay. So yeah, okay. Now I'm thinking we've got. Now I'm thinking we've won. We've got it in the bag. We're all set to go. Okay. But we'll see how long that lasts, though. Really, people used to complain a lot about putting vehicles up on this dock, but it's absolutely essential now. Even it is a huge advantage because you get up on a vehicle like this up on the dock, you can go a long well until some smart aleck comes up behind you. Yeah.
3 minutes remaining.
You can generally last a long time in that vehicle up on the dock if you get some support. If you don't get support and if you get people shooting at you from too many different directions, yeah, eventually they're going to take you down. But you know, it's a huge advantage, and that's pretty much what this game is all about. Is, you know, knowing where the advantages are, getting to them in time.
Red core is under attack. Red core is
I'm still
secure.
thinking we got this in the bag. I mean, yeah, we've lost the enemy. Yeah, we lost the enemy prime, but we have every opportunity to get it back. Although that's now being whittled away. And it looks like we're getting. Yeah, we just lost the center. So at this point, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, yeah, we're in trouble. I'm gonna get back here. This is a more defensive position. I want to take a moment here and take out this guy up here who's sitting there hitting us with arrows, but I need to give up on him because there's too much pressure on the center. I'm just going to try to get over here where I've got some cover going both ways and immediately catch a nuke.
Attack the tank node.
So yeah, I can see the tide is pretty much turning us against us in the last 2 minutes, which is suspicious. It kind of, you know, if you want to be paranoid, you can think, they planned it all along. They were just toying with us, you know. They wanted to dangle victory in our faces, only to snatch it away at the last possible moment. But I don't think anybody really has that kind of control. I mean, it would be fun to. Well, actually, they sometimes you might wonder, you know.
Attack the center node.
But you know, who wants to live in that kind of paranoid world? That would be no fun at all. Okay, this is the point where it looks like we're really in trouble. I mean, there's only 1:10 to go, and we've got a good 42-point lead there, but that doesn't mean we can't lose. It's very easy to lose these games, even at the last minute like this. Of course, once we get into overtime and you start to time out, yeah, you can see the tank there feels the same way. I wonder who's in that tank. Should probably take a look and try to read his name tag. Trying to cover for him up here until you get that tank up on the dock, because we definitely need the tank on the dock. I think once he gets up here and gets healed up, I need to get down off this dock and try to attack the center, because I don't think both these vehicles need to be back here. I think the strong vehicle should be back here, and this vehicle should probably go forward. Yeah, he's getting some heals now. I don't know how long I'm going to stick back here. Well, actually I don't have to move at all, because it depends on how well the timeout goes. We have the tank node. We have the tank node. We have the base. That ought to be enough for the timeout to be in our favor. That is Kralin in that tank, and he immediately runs forward, which means I'm coming back here, because I'm pretty sure one of us needs to be back here covering this prime, especially since we just lost the center again. And I'm pretty sure he's about to lose that tank, and this really isn't the vehicle to cover that tank. He needs a Scorpion up there, and he doesn't have one, so I'm pretty sure he just lost that tank. More than likely. It is kind of helpful to have a slightly paranoid point of view in this game, because it's helpful to be able to make shrewd. Well, I call them shrewd guesses. What I mean is paranoid delusions that you know what's going on in areas of the map that you can't actually see. In this case, like I'm sitting here saying, I'm pretty sure the tank went down. That's just a guess on my part. I'm not driving up there to look. Well, now I am, because the center's going to go. Yeah, the tank is nowhere to see. He did go down. It's not a hard guess to make, but it's definitely a conclusion born out of paranoia, basically. Okay, now it's not looking so bad. We got the tank node back, we got the center node back. We're well into overtime. The cores are timing out, not entirely in our favor. We still got a lead, but it's not as big a lead as it was before. Although it's probably enough. But yeah, in overtime you definitely want to hold as many nodes as possible. We're probably going to lose the center again. We just did. Okay, that's not good. I need to get back to the prime, because last time I looked there was nothing holding that prime. And if they take our prime at this point, they could shoot down our core really fast. That's how we lose it. That's how these games are lost at the last minute. The tank is going forward again, leaving what? Nobody at the prime. Yep. But the center's down again, so I can skip holding the prime for the moment. That tank is looking weak again already. Our orb is on the ground. I'm going to get forward and try to cover for that tank, possibly. It would be nice if I could get out and heal the tank, but I don't want to jump out of a big vehicle to do that. Is that tank down yet? No, he's still up, just barely. It looks like we're threatening their prime again, so that's a good thing. Still trying to cover for the tank a little bit, because he's down. Yeah, I didn't think he'd last too long. Fortunately, in this case, Red does not have the tank node, so losing the tank is not a huge disaster. You can see them working at the tank node now, because they definitely, not only do they want the tank, well, they probably don't have time to get the tank, but they definitely need that node so they can slow down the rate that their core is winding down. Yeah, so now they got that tank node, which means they probably have a tank now. Not so good. Here comes a red orb. If I fail to stop him, they'll probably cap. Nope, he's down. And there's the nuke. Okay. And the red paladin coming in, and red building the center, and I'm just about to lose that vehicle. And making a desperate run at the blue orb on the ground, but the red paladin was over there. So that was probably a dumb move on my part over there, and we're now in danger of losing our prime. And it's at this point, yeah, this is when it's not looking real likely that red can win, but they're definitely making an effort. If they can take our prime, that's about their only chance at this point. And it would be nice if I had the orb on me right now, but I really don't have time to go get it. Well, it's almost over at this point. I just have to hold him off for a few more seconds.
Attack the center node.
Yeah, and that's gonna do it right there, I think.
Red core destroyed.
Okay, well, try to do another one in a few days after